And you are tuned to KMUD Garberville, 91.1 FM and an HD1 at KMUE Eureka, 88.1 FM, KLAI Laytonville, 90.3 FM, and K258BQ, 99.5 in Shelter Cove. It is now 5 p.m. here on our Redwood Community Radio Nation, and welcome to Public Affairs. I'm your coordinator, Tanya Horlick, here to present a live program with several advocates and local people here to talk about houselessness in Humboldt County. So we've got a bunch of guests lined up this hour and a lot of possibilities yet in store. And thank you all for joining us. And joining me now on Zoom, we have members of Humboldt County's own nonprofit, Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives. And we also have some students, a recent graduate and another student of Cal Poly Humboldt, who have been working on a documentary project about houselessness in Humboldt. So thank you all for being with us on KMUD Public Affairs. Welcome. And maybe we can start with considering the documentary itself, a little teaser into this documentary project is that they're focusing on houselessness in Humboldt County. And at the same time, we've got Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives are actively working to provide services in Humboldt County. So it's wonderful to bring you both into this program. And it looks like we've got Deborah Carey with us from AHHA. Would you like to introduce yourself and speak a little bit about what you do?
Well, good evening. Thank you for inviting us to be here tonight. I really appreciate it. I go by the name of Deborah Thomas now, and we have AHHA, Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives, and we're a multifaceted organization. We have a shower caravan, but we do housing. We house people. We do Social Security, birth certificates, IDs, everything that you would need to get up off the street and get into a safe place to be, so you could be safe, warm, and dry. And so we've been working in the county for a long time. I've been around about 20-something years on the streets in Southern Humboldt and Humboldt County. And we love to talk to people about this issue. It's a passion for us. I'm hoping that Nezzy will join us, the president. I'm the VP. I'm a co-founder. I believe that the struggle is real. We are really struggling here in Humboldt County, and anybody that's been here knows that we have a lack of housing. And so it's been a real problem for us. So, but we love to serve our community, and that's what we do on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah Thomas.
Thank you, Deborah Thomas.
Oh, sorry about that. Hang on a second here. All right. I figured out a way to prevent that echo, at least while I ask you a question. As we are on Zoom, folks, sorry for technological radio new land we're in. So this situation that people are in, Deborah, let's explore this a little bit more from your perspective and your giving services. So what's it like? How many people do you encounter have some basic needs met? How many people do you encounter have nothing that they need? You know, what's the spectrum like, and how many people are approaching AHHA for their services?
A lot of people now have Medi-Cal and food stamps, EBT, and things like that. But they're really looking to get up off the street. And so we're approached every day. I'm constantly working on Social Security cases and trying to help those that are disabled on the streets to get up and out. And so we have a outreach worker that is now doing a lot of our footwork, which has been really wonderful. She has housed 2 people since she's been with us, and I've housed, I don't know, I can't count how many people I've housed in the 20 years I've been out there. But the struggle we have is the fact that there's so many barriers to getting up off the street. With the criminalization that's happened, there has been so many barriers to get up off the street. You can't get on Social Security if you have a warrant, or a camping ticket can turn into a warrant. And so there's a lot of barriers. And then there's this lack of housing that we have, and here in Humboldt County and throughout the state. I looked at it today, and I think our vacancy rate it said 0 to 3%. It's really, we don't have the housing, and a lot of good things have been happening in our county, and people are getting help, but we are just seeing so many people out and really struggling every day here in Humboldt County. And a lot of our folks are single folks, and so they have to get on the list for Section 8, which is usually a long wait. And then they only have 90 days or so to use that voucher, which it can be really challenging. And so, but as far as being able to sleep and all of those things in Humboldt County has been very challenging. We have a lot of ordinances in Eureka that basically say that, if you can't sit, you can't lie, you can't lay your property down, you can't cook. Basically, if you're homeless in Eureka, you have to leave that area, or you will be ticketed or cited. And so that's been a challenge. It's been a challenge. Criminalization doesn't work. It's never worked, and it never will work. And so that's really been hard for us to get past that big barrier. Once you criminalize somebody and you make them a criminal, it's a tough one to move through.
Well, thank you for putting words to that, Deborah. And as you've been speaking, we are now also with the other co-founder of AHHA, Nezzy Wade, has just joined us. And Nezzy, do you want to just drop into the conversation and speak about, from your perspective, what's going on from AHHA as president? What message do you want to get across?
Oh my goodness. Messaging can be multifaceted because the issue is multifaceted. I'm just happy to be here. Sorry I'm late. I had a lot of things happen all at the same time, but I am glad that I'm here. And I really think it's important to have these conversations because we need everybody, all hands on deck, for dealing with housing and homelessness and the kinds of things that we're all very interested in and would like to see some solutions advanced for. So thank you both for the work that you're doing and what you're, and Tanya, thank you, because I can say this on the side that Tanya is a great supporter of life in general, but also creating the best community vibes as possible. So we're really fortunate to have her on our team. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to hear that, especially from you, Nezzy. You are a saint and an enlightened one. You've reminded me that if you're having a moment with someone and they're upset, to step back and try to receive what they feel and take it within your heart. And you have such deep heart. Thank you for your words. But also back to the community matter at hand, which I wouldn't be half of who I am except that my basic needs are met and I have a support web around me. And at times I had to rely on food stamps to survive. At times I've had little to no money. At times I had nowhere to live. So I do myself relate to that circumstance, and then seeing in Humboldt County that the county, as our friend and partner, is trying to provide programs. The Safe Camping, Safe Parking program I spoke with recently with our supervising planner, Michael Richardson, who was also with Nezzy and I in a program months ago, and he conveyed that it's a step-by-step process to get safe camping, safe parking zones where people can freely park and stay with understandings and with agreements in place, and that it's still a step-by-step process to reach the next destination is the Board of Supervisors. But to the best of my knowledge, at this moment, it hasn't yet passed the Planning Commission in Humboldt County.
Oh, no. For safe parking and safe sheltering, that passed the Board of Supervisors on June 7th. So we now have permissions in our housing element or in Humboldt County to do safe parking and safe sheltering programs. What passed were ordinances to allow those to happen, along with the extension of the shelter crisis declaration.
That piece, has that been verified?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that all happened on June 7th, and our newsletter that's coming out this month will talk about the safe shelter, there'll be links to the safe shelter, safe parking website for the county. There's frequently asked questions there for both nonprofits or individuals who might be interested, and also for developers. But these won't be all end all. These are just intended to be pilot projects to allow up to 15 or 20 people to be in place, either through safe parking or safe sheltering can include tents or cars or tiny shelters. And there's 3 different management models that are put forward on the website for the county. And they're very different. One is an institutional model. It's a navigation center kind of thing where people are there 24/7. They're, they have to get services. They can be evaluated. There's also safe parking, which is probably the most minimal one, 7 and 8 until 7 in the morning. And then there's one called the tiny village model, which is something that's kind of a hybrid that allows, I think, more flexibility in being able to have, you don't have to have so much staff intensive like you would in the institutional model, but you could have resident staff, volunteer staff, the ways of cutting costs. And the whole idea is affordable alternatives. So those are all really good possibilities. Next will be the tiny house village ordinance that will be coming forward. There's lots of things that are pushing towards countywide campgrounds to allow people to be closest to where they want to be, where their people are, where their home is, and so forth. But they just don't have resources.
Well, thank you for filling me in. I'm sorry for conveying a slightly inaccurate perspective. Where I was coming from was from my last interview with Michael Richardson. He was saying there were still a couple pieces for the Planning Commission to okay and bring to the Board of Supervisors. I stand corrected. It's not regarding the safe camping, safe parking program so much as those more urgent emergency shelters. Yeah. So the safe camping, safe parking programs moving forward, the emergency shelters, I guess, are to be designated in time before, hopefully rain will be pouring across our region before long. But then at that point, those shelters should be designated. Is that a better picture of the situation now?
It really is set up in such a way that it really depends on who wants to do a project. And the people who can, if you're a county, or you're a nonprofit, or a private individual can do this too, but a church can do it also with a special use permit. There are different ways or different entities that can embark on these if they're interested in doing that. I think the way that it's written stimulates or fosters the notion of collaboration because it's going to take partners to do some of these things.
So in that note, and the interest of collaboration across the community, what ways could people get directly involved now? Are there any opportunities if people are interested in helping alleviate the pressure on our local organizations and our community? Nezzy, Deborah, do you think that there's opportunities through AHHA that people could just start to put their energy into?
Oh, sure. I mean, for building our agency, we need volunteers for our board, for our direct services. We also need money, and if anybody wants to help us write grants and search out those things. But as far as being able to help people in the county, private landowners, if you have land and you're willing to enter into an agreement or a partnership with somebody like AHHA or some other private nonprofit, and get into a pilot project, these have a sunset. They don't go on forever. So if you're interested in helping to see if this is a good option, help foster that by offering a piece of land. It doesn't have to be huge, parking lot size or something bigger would be great, but being able to offer an opportunity for people to be in place for either parking or camping or tiny shelters. There's a lot of guidelines that go along with that, but land is always the greatest entity that needs to be identified and made possible. So if you have land and you're interested in maybe helping out, give us a call. We'll talk. We're hoping to chat with everybody to find out more about what people are thinking they might be able to do because it's not been done before. We have, these are interesting new opportunities, and we really want to see that they get tried. So, we have people that want to partner with us to do some projects, but that nobody knows the answer to how it's going to be. It's a pilot. You try it to see if it works, and if it works and it's working successfully, then you would have the opportunity to continue. But that would be a decision of the Board of Supervisors.
And can I pipe in and just say that I really believe in a tiny house village model. I have worked with folks on the street, Nezzy and I have for years, and one of the problems that we do have is there's no place to transition to, and tiny house village would be a perfect opportunity to transition people to and through onto housing when housing is available and everything is right. They've gotten all of the things that they need to do that transition. And I really feel like Opportunity Village is our model. And anybody can look it up and Google it. It's a wonderful model. It's been working for years. And I really believe that that is an answer for Humboldt County. We've believed in that for years and years, that it's a great model. And I would hope that somebody would try to do that, because transitioning people is what we need. We need to get them in, get them safe, warm, and dry. And once you get somebody in that's been in a struggle and traumatized, when you're in housing, any type of housing structure, things start to settle down. We can start to address mental illness. We can do substance abuse. We can get the wraparound services, the Department of Health and Human Services, whatever's needed. We can wrap those services around that person and start settle down, and we can start working on things. And then they can be ready to transition into housing when we find housing. Housing is a problem in Humboldt County. This is not a secret. It might be to some people that are listening, not here in Humboldt County, but if you live and you've been in Humboldt County, you know that it is a real problem and has been for many, many, many years. And we struggle with that. And so I really do want to say that I believe in the tiny house village model, and it's a wonderful, safe place. It builds community. And that's what we all want to do, is be a part of a community. There can be places for them to do art, do anything that they want to do, and gardening. And we could just, the sky is the limit, and it would really be beneficial to people. And I just really feel I can't stress enough how much that model would be so helpful if it was allowed to do and somebody would do it. Or if we could find land to do it on. We've built a couple of tiny houses. It was very easy. The community came out. And that's what needs to happen, is the community. It has to be a community that makes this happen. And I believe in Humboldt County. And that's why we've worked so hard in this county, because we believe in all the community to relieve people that need to be relieved. Everyone. Homelessness affects everyone, not just the person that's experiencing it, but the whole community, as you know.
Well, and the other thing about the model for tiny house villages, it's not just reserved for homelessness. There are many people who see that as an opportunity for the future, for seniors, for workforce housing, for a lot of different groups who would be people who want to downsize from what they have in our mega castles, things that many people that have the wherewithal but don't have the interest in maintaining their properties on a larger scale. They want a community, but they don't really want large properties to be responsible for. So there's a lot of different good reasons why a sustainable, eco-friendly village is a good idea. And there are people who want to foster that for having more simple living economically. There are many different reasons why it's a good idea. It just needs to be something that can remain affordable. And there needs to be housing models that also support affordability. So in the continuum of housing that we've always talked about, it would be, these interim shelter opportunities that would be interim housing that would allow someone an opportunity to become stable and get connected and all the things that are important for stability and living, to be able to transition and build equity at the same time that they're in this process, to move into a more cooperative living situation where in Eugene, Oregon, Square One, which produced Opportunity Village, it transitions from Opportunity Village to Square One because they could do more projects, now has several projects, all of which are more affordable to the residents. And there are people who've moved out of Opportunity Village into Emerald Village or into some other village that has cooperative housing. So the housing is required to stay affordable. It's not ratcheted up with every turnover because of speculation. It needs to remain affordable, and it's more community-based. So there's common facilities, also like a community gathering area and gardens and all of those things, but it's where people have full infrastructure. The tiny house villages are not full infrastructure necessarily. That's what keeps them affordable. They don't have restroom, they don't have kitchen, but there are common facilities where people can obtain all of those things, but they still have privacy and autonomy by having a detached bedroom or a place that's their own for privacy and solidarity.
Yeah, and in the interest of solidarity for the community, we have a quick news update right now from our news director, Lauren Schmidt.
Thank you so much. Yeah, apologize to interrupt, but this is Lauren Schmidt with the KMUD Newsroom. There are multiple fire activity going on in our region, starting first with a fire that just started south of Laytonville near what's called the Shamrock Ranch. It's believed to be at least a half acre in size, if not a couple acres. It's reported to be spreading at a moderate to fast rate. There is one structure threatened. However, there is potential that this fire could threaten the Cherry Creek subdivision. Again, this is south of Laytonville. Aircraft is en route, as well as many other engines from Laytonville Volunteer Fire. I will note that there is another major wildfire happening in Clear Lake that has triggered evacuation orders and warnings. A lot of other Mendocino apparatus are traveling to that fire for assistance. So folks, if you're on the road, please use extreme caution and stay out of the way of our local heroes and sheroes. We'll continue to bring you updates as information is released. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. And so, back to our conversation at hand. I wanted
to say solitude, not solidarity.
Right. Well, in solitude, there's a lot of clarity that we can reach, including all kinds of things. That if we don't have that solitude and that space dedicated to ourselves, there's so much that cannot be reached. So the importance of shelter through weather is beyond stating, but the importance of having a space to oneself. I mean, and those of us that have that privilege, that maybe work hard to have it, it's still a privilege of a sense in comparison with those that have to float. I spoke with one of them earlier, actually, and we have an interesting interview we could listen to as a group if you're so interested in hearing from the perspective on the ground. And I also really want to plug this 100-day challenge that's happening in California right now that's being promoted locally by a coalition behind the United Methodist Church. Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ireland wrote a letter to the community recently. Long story short, Humboldt County has received grant funding to train staff from local government and nonprofits to work together, and they are doing so. Uplift Eureka, Cooperation Humboldt, Nation's Finest, the Humboldt County Office of Education, the Jefferson Community Center, and the Salvation Army have been meeting since July and have set a goal to house 25 homeless families, parents, guardians, and their children in the next 100 days. So this is an active call to the community. If anyone knows a landlord who's kind-hearted and community-minded, who knows of an owner of an accessory dwelling unit, that's something that could be rented as an independent unit, If you know anything like this, of a unit that's unoccupied right now or a landlord that might have one, you might be the person who could help a child heal from their past and fully live in the present and prepare for a much brighter future. And those are the words of Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ireland. If you feel you may be called to this rewarding work of personal and communal transformation and have questions, you can email 100daychallenge.humboldt@gmail.com, or you can call 707-572-4669. And if you need that information, you can call into our studios, and I'm happy to provide it for you. But so this is my last little call out to our audience. If you're listening and you have housing in Humboldt County that you would share, or you know a landlord that has housing that they could share with families that need to be in a home, then please call the station or call this number, 707-572-4669. That's your 100-day challenge for Humboldt. And back to, in the interest of affordable homeless housing alternatives, AHHA, who are currently working. So is it correct then that if people wanted to get active and volunteer for AHHA or donate to your needs, would they be able to reach you at via phone, or would you prefer email, or to send to your website?
There are many different ways if people are interested in volunteering. We have a fillable form on our website for volunteers can fill that out. It's a volunteer form and a waiver. Once we get it, we will call you and review the application with you and send you more information, a little video on AHHA and volunteer efforts. And then we will send you an invite from our shower calendar, or if that's what you want to be involved in, we could send you information on the committees that we have if you're interested in participating on a committee like our media committee or projects and proposals. If you are interested in possibly being a board member, we're looking for people who have expertise, obviously, in legal matters, business, finance, contracts, people who are with lived experience of homelessness. We're really interested in people who would like to work with us. We're very flexible in terms of being accommodating for what your schedules are and for what you can do to be available. We just really are interested in having people who have expertise, can write grants, come and sit with us for a minute and see if there's a way that we can collaborate to advance some of these affordable alternatives that we're really working hard on. You can call us in our office at 298-1466. You can go to our website at ahha.humco.org, and you'll find resources there. You'll find more information about us, learn about people that are on our board. And if you have any questions, you can call 707-267-4035. If you don't get an answer in the office, because we're not in the office all the time, we're out and about. We do have office staff, but they're not there every day. So keep trying. We would love to talk to anybody who's interested in helping us thrive, because we have a lot of work to do. Everybody who's doing work in the area of housing and homelessness is needed. There's nothing that's going on that we can dispense with. We need all of it. And we need alternatives like the ones that we're trying to bring forward, because there's nothing now that exists that would give people a stable place to live as opposed to being on the street while they wait for permanent housing. So we really need to take care of our folks in every community in some manner that will get them safe, warm, and dry, whether it's safe parking, in a camp, in a tiny house village, or in a shelter, even if that is something that your community does not now have. You know, we just don't have a lot of those options. So
I'd like to thank, can you hear me? I'd like to thank the Methodist Church for writing that letter and challenging, and all the groups that were named off. I'd like to thank them for all their hard work that they've done. They've done a lot of hard work on our streets in Humboldt County. and I hope that people will answer the challenge. It's hard being out on the street as an adult. It's traumatizing. I know I've been homeless myself. Having children, I can't even imagine what it would do for children to be out. And so we really do need to get our women and children and our families in, and then the rest, everybody else in. Everybody needs to get in.
Right. And I'm sure that people who are working on this challenge understand that there are housing vouchers that are available. The county really has been pushing to get independent landlords, so as the housing authority, to find people who would be willing to rent to families. And there are 2, 3, and 4 bedroom places available with the housing authority that might be just the ticket at this point in time, for which there are housing vouchers. So kudos and good luck to everybody who's working on this challenge. Deborah mentioned the United Methodist Church. We have a partner with a United Methodist Church out of McKinleyville, the Joyful Healer, who wants to work with us in creating some of these alternatives. And we've been just beginning the conversations around that and working in the direction of being able to do something that will actually meet the needs of folks.
I remember vividly when someone from the Church of the Joyful Healer testified before the Planning Commission when they were discussing whether to approve the safe camping, safe parking areas. It's kind of funny that I spaced that earlier, but when he spoke, he indicated that the more they opened up the church to the program, the more people appeared that needed it. And then he knew that it needed to happen. But I just want to remind our listeners, you are still tuned to KMUD, Garberville, KMUE, Eureka, KLAI, Laytonville, K258BQ, Shelter Cove. This is a live edition of our Public Affairs. You are hearing now from 2 of the leading members and co-founders of Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives, commonly called AHHA. You've heard from Nezzy Wade. You've also heard from Deborah Thomas. Thank you so much for being with us. You're welcome to remain with the program. But I want to transition us to feature some more guests, because we are very honored to have you patiently waiting with us in this call to speak. We've got 2 young, up-and-coming filmmakers from Cal Poly Humboldt. We're now with both a recent graduate of Cal Poly Humboldt and you're about to graduate. Is that correct? We've got Valentina and Gabe on with us. And Valentina, is that correct that you're still a student at Cal Poly Humboldt?
I graduated in December.
Oh, congratulations. So we've got 2 recent graduates of our university who have been working on filmmaking of homeless in Humboldt being the theme of your project. So, Gabe, as you are the lead filmmaker in the project, do you want to introduce us to how you got into this project and what it was like for you?
Sure. So the story is, I've talked about it before in other interviews, and it's kind of it can be a long-winded answer, so I'll try to condense it, I'll try to synthesize it. So basically there were a few different endeavors that I was taking on in early fall of 2020. A few, one of them being a documentary grant. It was called the California Humanities Grant. And then the other thing was called the Humboldt in the Time of COVID, which was a archival project in conjunction with which was what was then called the Humboldt State Library. I still miss calling it Humboldt State, but I was made aware of those 2 things, and while those 2 things didn't really get off the ground in terms of my involvement in them, they nonetheless inspired me to want to make some kind of a project related to Humboldt in the time of COVID. So I brought on Valentina and Skylar Gavin and Rachel Marty. Rachel Marty and Skylar Gavin are unfortunately not here today, as they are both starting positions at Redwood News, which is good for them. And but Valentina is here today, and she can maybe expand on it a little more after I say my piece. And so I brought on her and the other 2, and we started looking at how homelessness was being affected by COVID in Humboldt. And so that was our initial those are how we initially like got into it, how I initially and how everyone else initially got into it. And so while we were looking at how homelessness was being affected by COVID, we realized that there is some correlation there, yes. But ultimately, it's more about, I think it was more important for us to capture like the homelessness experience, like just like what it means to be homeless in this county. And so that we eventually started shifting away from the trying to find a really extreme correlation between homelessness and COVID. And we're now more focusing on how, and we've been focusing on for the last 2 years about how just, just like the stories of these people. And that's something I really want to get across, is that these people have incredible stories to tell. And as you can see from the work that is on YouTube, it is, we've captured some amazing content, and I'm sure Valentina can speak more on that.
Valentina, I wonder if you also want to speak about your experience in gathering these stories and going in to meet people and hear what it's like for them being houseless here. What was that like for you, Valentina?
Well, I've always been kind of a social butterfly. I felt very comfortable introducing myself and asking people, hey, could we ask you a few questions? And we kind of fell down a rabbit hole. I wasn't expecting people to open up so much of themselves to us. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. And for me, it's been very eye-opening. Having people sit down in front of our camera and share what they do, it's a very intimate experience. And I'm just grateful that I've had the opportunity and that Gabe had come to me 2 years ago, and that we haven't given up, and I think that that's really important as community members. We do not give up asking questions, and we always stay curious. We've met so many community members like Nezzy Wade and Brian Hall at the Eureka Men's Shelter, who they haven't given up. They work extremely hard every single day. Even shout out to Betty Chin as well. They do not give up. And so it's been amazing to not only meet people who are currently experiencing houselessness and housing insecurity, but to also meet so many other community members who inspire me to never give up in the pursuit of trying to find solutions and in the pursuit of trying to see what our community is doing or what they're not doing, and kind of just coming into this subject matter with a head full of questions and curiosity, and learning to actively listen and not listen to respond, but just like you mentioned earlier, Deborah and Nezzy Wade, listen with an open heart and a full heart. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Valentina. And Gabe, as the lead filmmaker, did you have some takeaways from your documentary project that were similar? Did it change your perspective to do these interviews and see what life is like on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my things I've talked about before in other interviews is that I came from a place where there wasn't it was very almost like Hollywood-esque. I mean, it wasn't Hollywood, it was the Bay Area, but I came from a place where there really wasn't a lot of people living on the streets. So I felt almost as if, and I fully acknowledge this, that I came from a place where there wasn't really, I was almost kind of sheltered, and there wasn't really a lot of houselessness and people directly living on the streets. It was very very vanilla almost. And one of the things when I came to this county was that, yes, to answer your question, I have been surprised by a lot of the, it's kind of humbled me. I've been humbled in Humboldt. And So it's been really just eye-opening for me to really see these people, struggle on the streets. And like I said, going back to what I said earlier, just like they've got some incredible stories to tell. And my perspective on it has changed. And I'm glad that I've gotten this experience, because I feel like if I had remained in the Bay Area, or if I had moved down to LA, or I don't know, like in the environments I was being conditioned to believe in, it just wasn't. I feel very fortunate to have this opportunity to work on this documentary.
Gabe, are you staying here just to continue doing what you're doing? Are you still in school? What's up? What's going on?
So me, I can't speak for Valentina, but for me, I am actually indeed staying here to work on this, because it means so much to me. This documentary project means so much to me, and it's really, I feel almost as if it's my calling at this point, because I kind of came into this documentary kind of like at a crossroads in my life. And I feel that this documentary project has given me a sense of direction. And I really, like I said, I can't thank my colleagues enough, and for this opportunity, and homelessness in this county is very unique, and it's I don't want to say special, but it's different, and it's something I really want to highlight. And I hope that the work that me and Valentina and the others are doing can highlight these stories that need to be told.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this work and for making it available on YouTube. If someone goes to youtube.com and searches for Homeless in Humboldt, you'll find a series of interviews that Gabe and Valentina and your other collaborators have put together. Stories of JP, stories of Katie Joe. And isn't there also a fundraiser right now for one of the subjects in your documentary?
Yes. So in the description box of part 1 and 2 of JP's story on YouTube, you will find links to our website and links to our GoFundMe campaign. All proceeds, a portion of the proceeds goes to post-production services to continue on our journey and to complete the 4-part docuseries by the end of this year. And a small portion does go to the interviewees, JP and Angela and William, who are the subjects of episode 3.
Yeah, and I will also mention that we've already through the GoFundMe we've donated a good amount of money toward JP, and that's really helped him out. And he continues to be in a kind of in a bind, so we're continuing to try to raise money for him through this work that we're doing. And the 4th episode, I will say, is about solutions to homelessness, and we actually. It's in the works right now. We actually interviewed you, Nezzy, for this episode, and we got some great content and from you and from other people as well, like John Shelter and Betty Chin and Mark Delaney. The list goes on. It's definitely a lot of people trying actively to help the houseless, I should say. So, yeah.
So, Gabe, would it be correct if someone listening to the program right now has a story they want to share with you, maybe want to connect somehow with your project, is it true they could email you at humboldthomeless@gmail.com?
That would be correct, yes.
And then there's also a good phone number from the Cal Poly Humboldt website was 415-906. No, not that one.
No, it's actually my old phone number. I got to update that. My new phone number is so the number that you can reach us at is my number is, and I'll say it. Hopefully it's can make it over the airwaves, is 707-599-7770. And I try to choose an easy phone number.
Very good.
So close to the zip code.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I just said so close to the zip code, all those 7s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just would like to thank you for both of you for doing this. I'm an emotional person, and I've heard thousands and thousands of stories, and I just come emotionally flooding with the stories that I've heard, that I know that you've started to hear, that when you hear people just tell their story, and they're just wonderful people that have just been through some bad circumstances, it's almost mind-blowing how wonderful and loving they are, and the walk of life that they came from. So it's really important that the stories be out. We've always told the stories, and we've always written about the stories, but it's great that you're doing this, and I just really want you to know I appreciate it for the people.
Thank you. And we're also very aware. Did you want to say something, Tanya?
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I was just going to say one of the final things I wanted to say is that, and this is something I'm sure all of you guys know by now, is that homelessness is an extremely complex issue. I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why someone can become houseless and on the streets. Everything from mental health to addiction to, family trauma to, the list goes on. And so, I just want to make it clear that me and Valentina and everyone else, we're very aware of that. And we're trying to be mindful of that as we are, crafting these stories, or not crafting, but trying to tell these stories in the way that these people would want these stories to be told.
Gabe, it is a complex issue. Solving for that is equally complex.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I really appreciate all of your words and testimonials to your experience as you try to help other community members and just be receptive to their stories. I find myself as a journalist, it's really important to, I believe as Nezzy mentioned, really deeply listen and really hear. And just today in our KMUD lot, actually right before this program, there's a lady that volunteered part of her story, and she is currently looking for a place to stay in Southern Humboldt. And she's a hardworking woman who really impressed me as someone that would be a really wonderful asset. If you have a place here in the Redway-Garberville area and are willing to house someone that's avidly working, she's foraging off the land, she's living a healthy diet, she's a fairly clean and sober person looking for a home and land to maintain and protect. And she says, quote, "for the privilege of living there. Can work with hands, repair infrastructure, safeguard property, no utilities needed except on-site water, and stove wood privileges." So if you're a person in Southern Humboldt community who would like to help this person find a place to live, she would testify to the fact she's a hard worker and willing to work trade to be on the property. You can you can text message 707-223-1671. And if you need that number again, feel free to call the KMUD studio. I do hope that this lovely lady gets a nice place to stay here in Southern Humboldt. And across Humboldt County, AHHA is blanketing resources when possible with your shower caravan. I believe you're going to return to the Redway area at the end of the month. And
we're scheduled for the last Sunday of the month in September. Last month, this is a good point. Last month, we had to cancel our services because we didn't have sufficient volunteer support in Southern Humboldt. So if you are available for the rest of this year, either the last Sunday of this month or the second to the last Sunday of all the rest of the months of this year, we hope to be able to come down to Southern Humboldt and not have to cancel services or withdraw our support for folks down there that are houseless. But it costs a lot of money to bring our caravan there. So we need financial support from the community, but we also need volunteer support. And if you or anyone you know is willing to manage a clothing closet for the one day a month for when we come down there to be able to help offer clothing to folks that would be coming to our services for the caravan, we would really love to hear from you. Actually, Redwoods Rural would really love to hear from you because they are looking for continuing the services which happen on their grounds when we come down, but they are not able to do that kind of a service. And we already do 10 clothing services a month, and Southern Humboldt was being handled but it's not now. And so we're really looking for somebody to take over that and work with Redwood Swirl and AHHA when we bring the caravan down, and also volunteer for a shower event. We start at 10 o'clock in the morning and we're done by probably 2:30, and so it's not a long stint, but we're happy to take any support that you're willing to give us. You'd have to fill out a volunteer application on our website and receive our materials so that we have an opportunity to know that you've gone through that before we actually have you on site for orientation. But we would be happy to work with the Southern Humboldt community. We would really like not to see the services go away, but if we don't get that kind of support, they may. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for that important announcement and the really crucial work you're doing, Nezzy, and also Deborah with AHHA. And so, again, if anyone's interested in volunteering with AHHA, helping coordinate clothing for those that need, or other ways that you could support them, you can call, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can call 707-267-4035. You can also email AHHA, AHHA, .humco@gmail.com and find you online. But thank you so much for being with us on KMUD Public Affairs, and especially for the service you're offering the community. And thank you also to these young budding filmmakers who've put this Houseless in Humboldt project together. And do you want to remind our listeners and where they can find your documentaries and maybe say a little bit more about that? Valentina, do you want to say a little bit more about the understanding and compassion that you've expressed deepened for you as you made these documentaries?
Well, what we found, like I said, is community that just works extremely hard. And as a young person, for me, going forward in my life, that's what I need to see. You know, I need to see examples of people who, you know, don't give up and work almost altruistically. If they see someone in need, they do what they can when they can, you know. And as citizens of Humboldt, I would urge anyone, educate yourself on resources in your local area, print out those resource cards and give them out to someone if you see them out on the street. You never know what they may need. And so maybe if that's all you can do, if you can't donate money, if you can't give out food, then just maybe asking someone, hey, what do you need? Or, hey, how's your day? You know, it's about humanizing the connection to those out on the street. And so if that's all you can do, then do it. You know, it's not going to hurt anybody. It's only going to help. And God knows we need help now. And once again, parts 1 and 2 of Homeless in Humboldt can be found on YouTube. You could just type in the search box, Homeless in Humboldt. They should pop up. In the description box in both episodes, you'll find links to our website and our GoFundMe. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. You can also show support by following us on our Instagram at Homeless in Humboldt and donating to our campaign. And just thanks for having us and bringing us all together, Tanya.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya.
Oh, it's just an honor. You know, what you're doing is exactly what people need for their stories to be told, for services and basic needs to be met. It's an honor to have you with KMUD Public Affairs. And also, if people have housing that they want to share right now during this 100-day challenge we mentioned earlier, if you know of a kind-hearted, community-minded landlord or an owner of a rentable unit, separate unit, you might be able to heal a child that doesn't have somewhere to live or an entire family. So if you know of a space that might be used for this community transformation, you can contact the 100-Day Challenge in Humboldt. You can email 100daychallengehumboldt@gmail.com, or you can call 707-572-4669. Also, right now, there's a fun way if people have unused new toiletries, clothing, food that they want to contribute to college students there in Arcata and the surrounding region. Equity Arcata's Home Away from Home Working Group is collecting donations right now, and will also be distributing this Sunday to college students in need. So donations are being accepted at Arcata City Hall during business hours through tomorrow. And you can also contact Equity Arcata for more information. So if anyone has some unused stuff they want to donate to Arcata students, you can call Equity Arcata at 707-822-5953 or bring those donations by to Arcata City Hall. Just want to let everyone know that before that distribution comes up this Sunday. But it's just been wonderful having such active college students putting together this documentary and having you featured on KMUD Public Affairs. I hope that we can revisit this conversation, and especially as you're fundraising to create more episodes, especially the episode you mentioned, Gabe, that would have solutions possibly to the housing crisis that we're in. So really looking forward to hearing more from you. And do any of you have any more words you want to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing we are going to be highlighting in our solutions episode. It will be a little section is
unknown caller.
Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, that was great music, Nezzy. Thank you.
Is student homelessness, and we're me and Valentina and everyone else, we're very aware of Equity Arcata. I've actually done an article on the home away from home thing, and so I'm very aware of it. I think Nezzy is not on mute. What we are going to be working on, we are definitely going to be highlighting student homelessness. We've already interviewed Shantae Cat, who is a major force around here. We're also going to be interviewing Jen McGuire. So that's something, definitely something that we're wanting to highlight.
Where is the apartment? Where?
Nezzy, you're not on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
We're already getting calls.
Yeah, Deborah, do you have more you want to say today? We're almost to the end of our program.
Yes, as always, I just want to send my love and peace to my loving community. I love them so much. I thank these young, wonderful people for telling the stories. It's really important because we all have a story, and their stories are really, really important. And when we hear their story, we learn that they're just like us. They've just gone through some sort of bad circumstances, but we really are all alike in a certain way. But I really just want to give my love to my community, Humboldt County, Southern Humboldt. You know I love you. Help us out. Help us out. Somebody help us out, and help these young folks and fostering this wonderful good work. And onward, soldiers.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing your work, and more power to you from People Powered Radio and Public Affairs. I hope people will definitely donate to and support our local community members who might be in need, and think about contributing to AHHA, think about contributing to the Houseless in Humboldt documentary series, and look them up online if you want to see more. But thank you all so much for being with us today, and I wish you the best of luck.